then why not drink the man? Wing watched her walk to a spot with a view back to the scene she had just left. He had been so long on the trail this last time, he didn't even know if he was going to start this sales thing back up again. As he watched her walk, he understood that all the bullshit in his head that he thought was driving him back to life was really this sweet smell, this way this woman took her steps, pulling him back to life. When Sheila got to the top of the hill, she turned and stared without moving. Wing hopped off the stage and closed up shop. He had planned to do a little shopping. Now that it was done, he knew he'd better move on and find a place to camp. Sheila watched like a bounty hunter would watch. This kind of tension is not the type that makes you brittle. It makes you feel like you're in the center of all eternity. I mean, you always are, but this kind of tension makes you feel it. From this point, you could leap any tall thing, understand any idea, wait any weight. Right now, she just waited to see where he would go. Back on his perch, Wing assumed that same sleepwalk he had entered town with. It only took a click sound from his mouth to put Lester and Earl in motion. The cart bobbed a little, like a man in a barrel surrounded by water, like it couldn't make up his mind which way to go. Then it followed Lester and Earl. These people have drawn some very definite perimeters around their town, and the settlement ended suddenly with a jolting drop down off the edge of town of the front wheels and then the back. Snake Oil Sales was now out of town. Out of town meant one thing: in the wild. For the people of the place he just left, he might as well have been 100 miles away. None of them could even stand to see the world around them. Wing knew they were building walls to enclose themselves even further, too. Really, the surprise is, why hasn't it already happened? With a little turn, Wing entered a clearing a stone's throw from the town that completely hid all that was him. It was Lester and Earl that got him off his seat this time. They wanted to be let go. There was water nearby, and the rich grass with the little blue flowers on top that they loved so much. Wing had a world of options to cope with the immediate physical tasks of life, the taking care of the animals and the dishes and all that. It never occurred to him that these were chores to be avoided. The only reason for moving slow was to feel the last of that woman's odor moving up into his head. Molecule by molecule, he felt her pelt pillows of information about herself to him. She's still got a foot, or some body part, in the old ways, boys, he told Lester and Earl. They answered vigorously. They did too, and it was calling them now. Wing moved his hands over the huge horses as he unharnessed them. He loved this. They loved this. What the hell is a chore again? He asked them. He thought he heard them say, life without something you like. Hurry up, please, followed by sounds that were laughs. Good sunny weather in an outside camp is made. Tidy. Everything you take out you have to put back. But comfortable. Wing knew what he liked, and he didn't really want any more around him than that. He set his bed so that the light of the fire wouldn't hide the view into the woods of the sky. As he reached for his pipe, he found he still had the bottle that he intended to give Sheila. The horses noticed and nosed close and stuck out their tongues. Wing put a drop on each and then drained the bottle into himself as the horses wandered off. Their motion ceased and they leaned against each other, noticing something. The world was in the last minutes of the day. Everything's shadow made it look like it belonged to a very large owner. Sheila's shadow made her look tall and thin. Wing was so glad she was not that tall, thin thing that beauty had become in these towns. Tall, skinny girls reminded him of boys. All he had to do to a tall, thin girl made of clay to make her look like a boy was to pat her down a bit. There was no way you could pat a Sheila of clay into a boy. She was a full adult woman who had married and had kids. Her body was beautifully rounded and would need to have big scoops of her cast back down to the artist's palette to reshape her to a boy. In the attempt, Sheila would be lost. Is that real fire?